Learn how to use the onload property to define a callback function. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at how you can make use of the onload property to define a callback functions that execute automatically the exact moment a server response is successfully received. So when you send an AJAX request to a server, it takes time for the data to travel across the internet and come back. So you can jump on the next line of code expecting the data to be there instantly. The onload property is like setting an alarm on your phone. So you give a browser a functions that and tell it, don't run this right now. Wait until the server sends an answer back. And the moment it loads successfully, then the functions is triggered and then your response is displayed or returned back to you. Let's look at an example of how you can make use of this onload property. So let's move inside our script tag, and inside this script tag, let's make a function. And let's call it any name, but let me call it onload for the purpose of this example. Maybe onload props or something. So you can give this any name. The name you give it does not matter as long as you remember it. And inside it, so I will make a variable XHTTP, which is going to take the new XML request object. And inside this, then I'll call this variable name XHTTP onload. Yes, so this is the property. Then you pass the function to it. Document.getElement by ID demo.inner.html. So is dot respond text XHTTP dot onload. So once you have this, you can just down here and set your open method. And inside this open method, you can pass in your HTTP method as well as a URL or any file that you want to get info from. .txt. So then you can now use this to pass the send method as well. So what we have here is just basically that let's assume that we want to get an information from a file. For this example, assuming we don't have any external URL, but we want to connect and just get this information from a file, we can just easily use the file name here as a second argument that our open method expects. So this is a file that I added here, ajaxinfo.txt, and it contains just a basic text. This is a page to be fetched from the server. So it is this same file that I added inside the root folder. So since it is in the root folder, let me prefix it with a / that I'm expecting this XHTTP to open and then give me the content of what I have inside of it on the screen. So in order to see what we've done, let's quickly just add a button here. And let's add an ID to our button. Let's call it an ID of ETN. And inside the button, let's give it a simple text, click me. And now let's also add an onClick property. And inside our onClick property, let's pass on our form, onload prop, our function rather. So if I go ahead and click on this now, you can see this is a page to be fetched from the server. And that exactly is the information that is contained in our ajaxinfo.txt, which means that we are successfully navigating into our file and we are successfully extracting the content of that file, as you can see in this example. So this example shows us that when you click this button, so a network request is dispatched. So the onload property stands guard, waiting for the server to reply. At the moment the server returns the content of the file that we are trying to fetch information from, the onload function wakes up. So it grabs the text and then display it on the screen. Now, this is a breakdown of our code. The XHTTP.onload and this function, is responsible for the callback part of this function, or on the onload to the onload event handler of our request object. So this function does not run when it is defined as it is right now. Instead, it sits and waits because it's a callback function. So it sits and waits until the network transfer completes successfully. So this goes on in the background, and when it does have a result or a response from the server, that is when it will fire and then display whatever it received from the server. Now, the this.response text, the this keyword here inside this specific function refer directly back to the XHTTP object that finds the element. And where is that XHTTP object? So we already have everything set up here inside our onload variable that accept that function. And we also have the this.response text, which is a property that is owned by the XMLHTTP request object. So it hosts the final payload, the actual text or data returned by the server. So once the load processing is complete, so this is responsible for owning that final payload before passing it back to our onload callback function, which is going to receive that information and display it to us on the screen. And so the document or get element by ID here is responsible for ensuring that the web page is updated only after the data has successfully or safely arrived from the server.